Hi, Joe Murphy. I just finished up a class with about 25 executives, junior executives, talking about empathy. So today's session is going to be on empathy, but from a different perspective because the class went 90 minutes. These leadership lessons from the front line, Leadership Academy, they go 90 minutes in length, and it becomes a nice discussion. But this discussion on empathy took a different turn. And somebody asked, well, how should I lead a meeting? And the question got brought up from the perspective of, if I frame up the meeting or I explain to people, here's what I'm thinking, and that's the key term, here's what I'm thinking, it makes it difficult to hear what other people feel or sense or what they want to say. And I used to think that wasn't a big issue until a couple of years ago, and I started studying this more, because when I was leading teams, I would start off with, I want to hear what your thoughts are. After I said, here's what I'm thinking. And what happens is, and because I've studied this, is when I say, here's what I'm thinking, I'm setting the bar. Sort of like, I want you to visualize the Olympics where you set the pole vault bar, and they've got a pole vault over the bar. You're setting the bar here, and you're telling people, this is my thoughts. So now if somebody says, I think we need to do this or this, somebody says A, B, or C beneath the bar, it automatically looks like they're lowering the bar based upon what I said, like the standard's too high. Then you got this other dynamic in which if I set the bar here, somebody says, no, I think we can do this, 1, 2, or 3, it looks like they're trying to outdo me. It's just a psychological thing, and so everybody's sort of walking on these eggshells. And the simple answer is there's no simple answer, except for the fact that if you say, here's what I'm thinking, instead of framing up the challenge, and this is the critical thing, it's instead of here's what I'm thinking, framing it up to here's the challenge. The challenge is this, and I'd like to get your thoughts on this. The best way to do this, of course, is if you have an agenda and you circulate the agenda prior to the meeting. Now, this is something that I also learned that I think is going to be very helpful. If you send the agenda at least a day in advance, and this is not the helpful part, although this is a critical factor, but you set the agenda with the challenge in form of a question. In the form of a question. If you just say, the challenge is this, and then make a statement with a period at the end, people aren't going to think. They're just going to say, oh, we're having this discussion. But if you say, I need for you to start thinking about this question, should we move our headquarters from New York City to Washington, D.C. in 2025? That's going to elicit a totally different discussion than we're going to discuss whether we're going to move our headquarters from New York City to Washington, D.C., period. Do you think we should? Gets the person thinking 24 hours in advance, either in the front of their mind or in the back of their mind. So now when you get into the meeting, say, let's start the meeting off with our key challenge item. Should we move our office from New York City to Washington, D.C.? I want to get your opinions. That's a whole different way of having a conversation. That's getting their idea first without you setting this bar and having people try to navigate around it. It is so critical as a simple way to get things done, and hearing other people's opinions. It's part of empathy, because now you're allowing them to speak from their standpoint. I'm Joe Murphy, and I am here for your success. Thanks for listening.